Hello, and thank you for joining TechExcel today. My name is Renee Alanis, Senior Marketing Manager at TechExcel. TechExcel is proud to host our 2012 webcast series. We hold informative webinars on various topics each month throughout the year. Please visit our website at techexcel.com for the current list of webinars, including the next webinar featuring a DevSuite multi-site demonstration, which will be held on May 9th. To celebrate the new release of DevSuite 9.0, TechExcel is giving away the latest generation iPad for free to one lucky winner. Just by attending today's webinar, you have been entered into the contest drawing, which will be held at our May 9th DevSuite multi-site demo webcast. Increase your chances of winning by attending another DevSuite webinar or trying DevSuite Live. More information regarding the contest can be found on our website at techexcel.com. Now, regarding today's webinar, I do encourage all of you to use the question function located at the lower right-hand corner of your screen. Just type in your question, and we will answer them at the end of today's discussion. I'd like to introduce today's speaker, Alex Perec, Senior Product Manager here at TechExcel. Hi, Alex.
Hi, Renee. Thank you.
I'm going to turn over the presentation to you right now.
Great. All right. Okay. Here we go. So this will be a what's new summary of DevSuite 9.0, and we actually have a couple of 9.01, so a little patch release that's being done. A couple of those new features we'll be able to show too, and they're hot off the developers' computers, so pretty cool. We have a lot to cover, so I'll just go ahead and jump right into it. One of the biggest new features actually in DevSuite 9.0 is going to be the multi-site support. And basically what this is going to do is it's going to provide local instances, so basically full DevSuite installs at different sites. You could put, say, full install in China, one in England, and one here in the U.S. And each of your teams, instead of having to pull from a site that's on another continent, be able to pull the information from their local site, and then these sites will synchronize behind the scenes. So they'll be able to get local performance speeds from DevSuite, as opposed to before where they would have had to access information remotely. Because this is such a major feature, we actually won't have time to go in depth with it in today's webinar, but there is going to be a webinar May 9th with Jason Hammond, and that's going to be exclusively on multi-site, and it's going to go into a lot of detail on how it's working. So the features we will be showing, the first one we'll touch on is the admin tools. So we've combined the DevSuite and DevTest admin tools. This is probably great news for all you admins out there. You'll see here I have the admin open, so no more switching back and forth between your DevSuite and DevTest admins. You can just do it all from the one admin. If I go to open a project here, you'll see that the linking is still done. So you'll have your KnowledgeWise project at the top, your DevSpec project, and then children of that as before DevTrack, and now the DevTest template and work projects are also beneath it. So you can just go ahead. Everything once you're in there is basically the same things you used to see, but yeah, so you don't have to switch through tools anymore. You can open the DevTrack project as well. So that one's a really nice feature, good to have. And that's just a screenshot like we just saw. So we'll start with talking about what's new in the DevTrack module. The web interface has had quite a few improvements to it, and we'll kind of go through those as they come up as we're going through the different sections. We've also added in development spaces, sort of a new concept, a new way to organize the work being done by your developers. So take a look at that. There's a sprint planning view, configurable select field sorting. This was done by request, and a minor change, the sub-project field will be mandatory now. We'll go and look at all these now. Let's drop in to the interface. I'll switch over to DevTrack. And as far as the interface goes, so sort of it's probably immediately apparent to many of you that are on version 8 dot anything. If you're on 6 dot anything, this is going to be hugely different. But the main changes are a lot are behind the scenes just to increase load time. So switching between tasks, you'll see that the details load almost instantaneously down here. We've done a lot of work with just intelligently caching things behind the scenes to make pretty much every single day-to-day operation significantly faster. We've also, made the buttons prettier, changed the drop-down controls. Actually, it's probably a good time to give you a little preview of the 9.01 patch. We've actually changed the storyboard view around too, and this was done by request. So we added the titles in. You may remember before you used to just kind of get the ID number there, which can obviously be a little difficult to memorize ID numbers. So having the title in there, much more useful when you're kind of quickly going through tasks and organizing things. There is still the hover controls to pop up more details. Also with this, what you can do now, before it was kind of default sorted by IDs, now you can actually just drag things around and prioritize them. So say this is Alvin's work for Tuesday, I can actually prioritize it. So this task, should be the first thing he works on Tuesday. I'll just drag it up to the top, and then he'll know to work on that first. This is especially useful if you're going by progress status, since you could end up like this, where you've got a whole ton of tasks. Well, in this case, they're in QA complete. But suppose this was a working state, and you had a lot of tasks in it. You wanted them worked on in a particular order. You could just drag them around and prioritize them. So that's definitely very nice to have. We've also added in this quick reporting tab. And so we've made quite a few improvements here. First of which is to the burn down report. So the thing to notice here is that we're actually burning down by story points. And many of you may have known that this feature was not available for a little while. You could only burn down by time units, so days, hours, weeks. But now you can burn down by story points, and you can actually burn down by just a flat-out number of tasks, too. It's a great feature to have, very useful. There's also a velocity report available in here. And this is just going to be the sprint velocity. So it's the cumulative spec points closed, and this is actually the number of tasks closed. It's the blue line here. So both those reports are very useful, especially for things like stand-up meetings when you're trying to get a quick status. There is a standard velocity report. It's actually been in the system for a while, but that's available in the regular reports. The other improvement, the spaces. So we'll talk about that. That has to do with how this tree on the left here is organized. So previously, you would organize your tasks using, say, a milestone and then iterations below it. So you would have, say, beta release and the sprints. What we can do now with the spaces is you basically are kind of making an area where hopefully your entire team is kind of seeing the same thing when they're working. So you set up a space. You still can do the milestones and sprints below it. You can actually leave out the milestones now too. So if you want to simplify it, you could just do sprints like this project here. Each one of these spaces will have their own release backlog. So you can commit features into the space and use that to manage a release. And then you'll pull out work from the release backlog and schedule it into the sprints. But the goal here would then be to complete all the work that's in the release backlog. What you can also do that's really neat is we have linked requirements now. So this requirements section, as you'll see, is actually part of the development space. And what you're actually going to see in here is basically DevSpec. And so you'll use this as kind of a feature backlog, and you can pull all your features directly from DevSpec and commit them to, say, the release backlog, or if you wanted to, you could even drag them directly into a sprint. So you have all the drag controls there. And you'll get the same dialog you used to get. And you'll be able to like auto-create tasks and things like that. And of course, the same drag and drop controls are available from the release backlog, along with the auto-creation stuff. So if I want to schedule that one into release, I can do that. I can do my task creation in here, and then I can do the automated task creation based on modules. So all that's still available here. Also new is the sprint planning view. And so this is just a view to make it a little bit easier to kind of drag tasks out and schedule them. So I'm in this space here. I can pull up my sprint. Say I'm working on this sprint, and I could shift it into the storyboard view so I can see everyone on the team. And then I would be able to pull from, in this case, we have our linked requirements. So I could pull from DevSpec and schedule items directly to a developer. Or I can pull from my release backlog, schedule, again, directly to a developer, or the product/defect backlog. And this one is sort of a general backlog, which is here. It's not really a child of any of the spaces. But it's another way for you to organize, say, like general defects and stuff that come in. So all those are available for your planning needs. I'll jump back into the PowerPoint here and see what else we have. So sprint planning view we just looked at. Configurable select field sorting. Okay, so this one a little tricky to explain, but we'll take a stab at it. You're going to, this is a feature you turn on from the admin. So here I'm in my DevTrack sample project. You'll go into main GUI settings, and under general settings, you'll have an option to sort field choices according to an admin defined order. So what does this mean? What this means is if we have a field, let me grab a task here. Say like a field we're using on our DevTrack task. In this case, let's use the version field. So in this field, I have the different versions selectable from 6.1 up to 6.6. And this is a configurable select field, meaning that I can hit this button here and I can insert a new value. So I can do 6.7, and I can, from the web interface, add a value to this field. Now I can select that extra field. With the normal way it works is the sort is alphanumeric, so it's going to go from 1 to 6. But suppose I wanted to do it the other way. I wanted it to go from 6 down to 1. I could use this field. So I'd do an admin-defined order. I would come into the description page here, select my field that I want to reorder, and this is the drop-down list contents. I would hit Setup, and here I've actually already sorted it, but I'm going to take my 6.7 that I just added, I'm going to move that up to the top. I'll hit OK. I can make any of them inactive, of course. And I'll do that. Hit OK. And then we'll push this out to the web. And give that a second. Okay, so that loaded. And we'll go refresh this. And so now when I come in to edit the version field, you'll see it's sorted by the admin order. So it's going from 7 down to 1 the way I ordered it in the admin. It's worth noting that if I add a field from the web now, though, it's still going to default to that alphanumeric ordering. So if I add a 6.8, it's going to put it at the bottom. So that's just something to be aware of. And when you're searching using these fields, so version, it's still the admin defined order. Here's the new field put in the default position, and then the inactive fields are down here too. It's kind of hard to tell, but these are actually blue. I'm not sure if you can see that or not. So that is what the configurable select field ordering is. Let's jump back into the slides. So here are just some screenshots of that in action. That covers most of what's new within DevTrack. Got through that pretty fast, which is good. So, new in DevSpec, there's actually a lot of really great stuff that we've added in here. The biggest of which is the Microsoft Word Add-In. And this gives us a two-way Word integration. It's the only product I know of right now that actually has this type of integration. Most of the products out there will give you kind of like a one-way import from Word. So you'll import it from Word, but then you are locked into their interface afterwards. So we actually have a two-way integration. We have a dynamic export. And we'll show you what that is in a moment. We have document templates. Again, this is part of the Word Add-In. Requirement spaces and test case pages. We've added event notification into DevSpec, which is great. And there's search query support for when you're exporting Spec. Okay, so let's take a look at the Word integration first. Oh, and I think I missed one. For the spaces here, you can filter them. So here I've got like 4 projects. Say I only wanted to see 2 of them. I would just turn on the space filter and then hit OK, and then I can filter out. So then I can only see what I want. And this is available in DevSpec too, actually. So switching over to DevSpec. We'll actually start, let's start with the templates. So this is kind of what you would do initially to set up, say, a specification. You would take one of these templates, get a copy of it, open it up, and you'll use this sort of as the beginnings of a requirements and specification document. We'll go ahead and open that up. And so what we're seeing here is the format that's going to be parsed by the system to create a requirements document along with its child specification. So it's actually going to build a full hierarchy off of this. So the way it's doing this is it's using the multi-level list formatting that's available in Word. And so if I take a look at my current list, oops, let me drop in here. If I take a look at my current list, this is kind of tiny, I apologize, so it's a little hard to see. But you'll see the list format that's been built here is we have kind of the level 1, level 2, level 3, and then the requirement ID, requirement title, requirement description, and then these other fields like rational, linked requirement, and the requirement product. And so these are what we're going to use to parse this document. So here I've got, my level 1, which is going to be up at the requirement, and then here's where I actually have the requirement tag. This one has already been parsed, so it's tagged with this Spec 1 tag. The system actually puts this tag there. There's the title and then the description. And so when you have this DevSpec Add-in, you'll be able to, we'll first go to document info, and we'll hit save as new. So I'm basically just going to make a new copy of this document. And this is what I would work off of to create a new requirement document. So I'm going to create a new one, save that. So this is now my new document. You'll go through, you'll see that we have a bunch of stuff already in here. Notice that these ones don't have ID tags yet, meaning they haven't been parsed by the system. An easy way to kind of create a new one is just cut and paste, and then change the titles and descriptions as you want. Newer version of previous spec. Okay, so we have our title, description. Say we've gone through, we've built out this whole document, and it's time to get it into the system. So we'll go in here, we'll hit auto-populate, and this is what's actually going to parse the document. And so here we're seeing the levels like we talked about. So, and you can actually further refine it with styles. So here I'm using the requirement for level, that's this tag here, as the start of a requirement item, and then I'm actually attaching a style to it. And these are just based on the word styles that you can set up. I'm using the title tag, so this one to match the title, and then the description level to match the description. When I go through and parse it, and we'll read through, it'll find my specifications. So here we have 1, 2, 3 new specs that I've found. Go ahead and hit OK, and then we'll see it tagged all of those. And so now, when I want to save them into DevSpec, let's save, I'll see all the specifications that have been found in the document, which is 1 through 5. You'll see it parsed out like bullets and images. So we've been really good actually about keeping a lot of this formatting. All the bold text will get parsed out and stuff too. And then you'll see the title up here is parsed. So you'll go and confirm that everything you want is in there. And then you go to check in. And this is where you'll actually select what project you want to check it into. So let's check it into, let's say, what do we have in here? So there are no Word documents in here currently. So I'll check it into Content Sharing Manager version 2. And we'll select that one. You can pick the folder in there. We'll actually just check it into the root. Need to give it a title, and this will be the requirement title. So new requirements, and the description, new stuff. The document, and then we'll go ahead and continue. We're currently logged in as Terry J, our demo user. You would obviously log in as your own user. Hit continue, and this will go and push the document into DevSpec. And there, that's done. So now, come over to DevSpec. I will refresh this, and we'll see our new document is here. And so it got imported in with the relationship, which is really neat. So we have the new requirements document, and then each of the specs that was parsed is put in as a child. And so you'll see all the images got parsed, all the bullets got parsed, all the text formatting. So that all stayed in there. It's really great. So then what happens actually is I can make edits in either interface. So let's say for this first one, if I wanted to add some text, add some text I can save that. And then in my Word document, if I go to save it, it'll actually go and notify me that there's a change on the server. So then I can merge in that server change or overwrite it. And so that's how we kind of have this two-way relationship going. You can continue working in Word. You'll get these merge notifications if you need to. And of course, anything I change in Word and then check in will appear in the interface. So this is really handy, and it's great because everyone's been using Word forever, and it can be kind of difficult to get people to switch over to a new interface. That's the basics of the Word integration. The dynamic export. Let me show you that. So dynamic export is, this is a neat little feature. Basically, if you have these specs already in here, and let's say I want to work on, I don't know, these 5, but I want to do it in Word. I don't feel like using the editor over here. What I can do is we've added a right-click control. You can export to Word. So what this will do, it's going to dynamically create a new Word document. It'll auto-populate it with my specs. So the first one is Spec 1-87, session across application. That corresponds actually to this one, so this bottom one. And then I can, just make changes in the Word. Make it work. I'll add that, and then it'll work the exact same way. I can save back into DevSpec. You'll see there are no changes to those 4, and then I have a local change to this specification. Check it in. Confirmation page. See a push. Finish there, and if I come open up this one, see my new text is in there. So now you can kind of just do all your stuff in Word. You really harness the power of Microsoft Word, which is a great tool, but you still have all the features of DevSpec available to you to actually manage the workflow of your specification. So that's great. Go back into the PowerPoint. So here we already went over the templates, requirement space, and filters. Yeah, so this is basically what we already saw in DevTrack. You have your requirement spaces here, which can now be linked into the development spaces, and then the filters are available here too, and you turn them on using this option. So we already saw that. Let's go ahead. Spaces, filters, test case page for quick access. Yes, we added another page here. Before you used to have the all links page where you could see any test cases that were attached to a specification. You would see in here. We've just added in another page which is just the test cases. Same functionality as kind of the all links page. So you can go ahead and say create a new test template. And then that'll appear in here. Refresh that tab. Oops. Maybe I didn't create it. Let me just select one. All right. So grab one of these and link it. Okay, so then you'll have it there. And now the nice part about this page is that you can see the test summary here. Whereas on the All Links tab, you would have been able to see the test case, but you wouldn't have this extra information. So this extra information is pretty helpful in sort of just quickly seeing what the test cases are that are attached to it without having to open them in the extra window. Okay, try and move along here. Test case page, search query support for spec export. So all this is previously, when you were exporting specifications from DevSpec, you would have to export a full folder. Now you can actually set up a query to filter within a folder and kind of narrow down what it is you're exporting. So that's a nice little add-on. Okay, and new in DevTest, there's an admin setting now to just skip the dashboard on login. That's kind of a nice little thing. And you can set up a default defect subproject. And you do this in the interface too. This is basically just the default project that defects are going to get submitted into. And so at this point, actually, I want to give you a quick preview of another new feature we've been working on, which is the iPad application. So what I've pulled up here, this is actually an emulator that's running the application. And so you kind of picture seeing this on your iPad or Android tablet. And that's what's going on here. I'm just using mouse controls, obviously, instead of my finger. So now what you're going to be able to do on, say, a tablet or actually even a phone, I would think, is you'll be able to go in, you'll be able to see your project. So let's say we'll start in a Spec project. You'll be able to see all the specifications. So you can open it up, look at what people are working on. That a second to load. This is actually pulling from a remote development box, so it might be a little slow. And, well, looks like that one's not going to pull up. This is actually brand new, so we'll see if it works. But even more important than the specs is you can actually pull up your dev track tasks, and they'll pull up in the same way. And we showed some of this at our user conference, which many of you may have seen. So now you can see dev track tasks. Let me grab, let's see, this one. You can see a task. We'll open it up. You get the task details in here. Let's see if I can find one with a little more work done in it. Jumping around. That one doesn't have much detail. But basically, you can pull up your tasks here. You can actually link in documents too, and you'll actually be able to edit your tasks from in here, which is really cool. So you'll get your edit. You can see basically the same work status you would see before in the web interface. If you hit edit, it's going to ask for an identity confirmation. Puts you into the edit mode. So we'll just re-enter the login. And then there you go. It's basically the same task edit you would see before. So you can make changes on your iPad and then push them up to the server. And you would just go ahead and save that, and it'll push it over to the server. So that's a really great kind of an on-the-go way, or if you don't want to do it from your computer, if you're maybe working on multiple systems, you can kind of do this task stuff from your tablet. I'm going to see if I can find a linked document to show you. They are pretty neat, but they were shown during the user conference, so some of you may have already seen it. I can't seem to find one right now. Basically what it is you can import something like, say, a PowerPoint presentation and use that, and you can add in like annotations and do a whole bunch of neat stuff like that. You can like record a voiceover and do a whole presentation on a document that's attached, which is really cool. What you can also do is these kind of impromptu meetings, and so you could hit say meet now. You'll create a meeting, you can set up a password and then send it to people, and if you do the start meeting, you'll basically set up a screen sharing session that other people can join. So then, you can be on a call, you can navigate through stuff, and people will see exactly what it is you're doing on your iPad, on theirs. So it's really neat, and it's a really great way for teams that aren't co-located to kind of communicate with each other about tasks. So I think that covers just about all the new features for 9.0 and a bit of 9.1. Let's go ahead and see what we have in the questions tab here. See if we can't address a few of these. So first one, let me see if I can make this a little bigger. There we go. Can slides be downloaded? Yeah, I can definitely make them available for download. So this presentation will be available on our YouTube channel. If you haven't seen it yet, I definitely encourage you to check it out and subscribe. All our webinars are there, and occasional other videos we'll post over there. So definitely check it out. It's youtube.com/TechExcel. When the webinar is posted there, I'll put a link to the PowerPoint presentation in the description. So that will be available. Can you select multiple options and make them inactive all at once in the admin? So I'm assuming you're referring to this screen here on the setup. So yeah, you can, nope, you need to kind of go through them one at a time, it would seem. So yeah, no bulk select available in there. Go down. We will not be covering updating from a previous version in this webinar. Sorry, we just don't have time to go through that. What versions of Word are supported with the add-in? This is the newest version, which, let me check. It is, where do I get it? Word options, resources. So this 2007, so 2007 is supported. I think we go back probably 2 or 3 versions from this. So like Word, the 98 version of Word probably won't work. But we'll post all that on the website under DevSpec under System Requirements. Can you do custom queries or reports in the iOS or Android reports? So reports are not available yet. We're still doing a lot of development on the iOS and Android app. For now, it's just task edits, and there'll be a bunch of simple reports in